The liberal media watchdog group Media Matters, supported by billionaire George Soros, is having the tables turned on them. Media Matters founder David Brock, a former conservative, has declared war on Fox News and, among other things, urged advertisers to drop support of this network. So in a recent Washington Times op-ed, former George H.W. Bush counsel C. Boyden Gray, funny those names, suggested that Media Matters, which enjoys tax-exempt status, has violated that status with its attacks on Fox, and their tax-exempt status should be revoked. Media Matters, however, is not alone. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce and the National Rifle Association also enjoy tax-exempt status, and both have continually crossed the line and supported campaigns against Democratic congressional and presidential candidates. You know, it's funny. No Republicans have ever asked about their tax-exempt status. So, are organizations established for policy information sticking to policy or just knee-deep in politics? Dana, what do you think? I mean, they're all fudging the lines, aren't they?
Well, I actually think that when it comes to Media Matters basically, they did make this declaration. Other organizations on the left and the right sort of fudge around the edges. And if you look at somebody like the Chamber, and I know that only a part of it is the 501c3, they actually supported all of the infrastructure spending and the stimulus spending, so they can kind of play both sides. Media Matters isn't that way at all. They've got a one-track mind. The other thing I don't understand is, from George Soros' standpoint, why even apply for tax-exempt status at all? You don't need the money.
Well, yeah. Well, you make a lot of money on your tax returns that way, right? Yeah. I mean that's part of it. But I will defend Media Matters in the sense that I think that their original idea, which was to keep conservative media in check, at least be honest, has really crossed over the line. I agree with that. But I also think the National Rifle Association, of all of them, that crowd, those have consistently broken the law.
Wait. I want to say, you know who the real victim in all of this is not Media Matters or Fox News. It's the parents of people who work at Media Matters who, when asked what their sons and daughters are doing for a living, they have to tell them in a quiet voice that they sit at home in their underwear and they watch Fox News and they blog. There's nothing more embarrassing
Now, wait a second.
than that.
Wait a second. The kids who work at the National Rifle Association have to sit down and try out M16s all day long. That's right.
And working for the NRA is cool. Media Matters
Well, it's cool because they want everybody to have a tank.
Bob, the NRA is there to protect gun owners' rights. Media Matters. Look, listen to what they've said. David Brock is the guy who said it's a war on Fox for them. They're going to use guerrilla warfare and sabotage to take down News Corp and CEO Rupert Murdoch's commercial interest. That's angry.
Can we talk about the media
discussion.
blackout here?
It's not a discussion.
Can we talk about the media blackout? Because, Bob, they have covered Republican entities. They've covered Karl Rove's. They've covered Citizens United. However, you don't see on any mainstream channel, ABC, NBC, or otherwise, talking about this. I mean, there's been a full-on media gone dark underground. And look, I call upon the head of the IRS. He should revoke their tax-exempt status for using taxpayer dollars to try and subsidize and silence free speech.
But for you calling for that, listen, I think it's great you should be able to call for it. Can you throw the National Rifle Association in while you're at it? Why don't you take I was hearing agreeing with you. See, you have such a hard time agreeing with a liberal on anything.
You equated Media Matters to the NRA.
They are. I do equate them. You've never done campaigns out there and watched the NRA use its tactics to defeat Republicans. That's what they do. I mean, Democrats. They are out there trying to defeat Democrats all the time.
They're trying to protect gun owners' rights.
Oh, come on. Okay.
What rights? What rights is Media Matters trying to protect?
Well, I think the original concept was they were trying to protect people who were being attacked by the conservative media, particularly talk radio. And I think there was some there were legitimate reasons for that. But to suggest that the National Rifle Association is trying to protect gun people's rights, they're trying to protect the rights of everybody to get a machine gun.
Bob, there's a key difference. That is the stated mission of the National Rifle Association. The stated mission of Media Matters is to destroy Fox News.
But the National Rifle Association is lying when they say that's their stated mission.
Can we bring it back to the topic here is Media Matters?
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
It's my segment. And I can tell you what it is.
But I'm wrestling it away from you.
Okay.
Here's a couple of
wrestle. Go ahead.
I'm going to wrestle. Here, I get an email every day from Media Matters, and it reads like a missive from an ex-girlfriend. It's just a litany of how much they hate us. But in the background, you're thinking they just want acceptance.
Yes.
It is like the most weird kind of passive.
They're like bottom feeder rejects, right? Who could never get a date. And
yeah,
so now
exactly.
They just want the attention of Fox News. I hate to even elevate them by even bringing them up on the show.
I want them around. Am I
really glad I brought this topic up? I don't have the kind of this nastiness towards Media Matters. I wanted to try to bring inclusive other people like the National Rifle Association that wants everybody to have a machine gun and a bazooka.
Let me just add one other another point, which is that something that was not going to happen before the 2012 election is wholesale tax reform. And I do think that all of these things need to be on the table and looking at every organization and applying for tax-exempt status. But somebody like Media Matters, whose stated mission is to destroy one single company, and also in a very pathetic way, I actually think that one of the things that they hoped was that we would not respond.
Well, you
right?
know,
because they just thought they could fly under the
true.
radar
It's
screen.
You know, we
better,
could
yeah.
have comprehensive tax reform if the Republicans hadn't cut and run from the negotiations with President Obama.
But here's
he
the
wants to
reason
pay
why
on-
Media Matters is around is because they want to take the ball and go home. They've had 30, 40 years of uninterrupted liberal bias. Fox News comes onto the playing field, and now suddenly they're focusing on Fox News because we're the only people who aren't doing what everybody else does, and they have to focus on that. It's
You know,
kinda
one
sad.
of the problems, I'll tell you this about David Brock, though. He used to be a conservative.
Right.
Remember, he made his bones
We
really
worked
attacking
at the American Spectator.
You worked together with him?
I met him, I think, once. I worked there in 80,
Oh, you're trying to back out of it now,
88.
huh? Oh,
No, I'm
so
being
you're-
honest, Bob.
You're a Brock guy, huh?
Yes,
Okay.
I
Well, look, the point is that he used to be a conservative, and he used to remember he took on Bill and Hillary Clinton and did all that stuff, and then all of a sudden he changed. And I've talked to him before. I mean, he's a pleasant enough guy. But one of the things about liberals, those of us who are still liberals at middle age, of which there aren't many of us, I can tell you that. Except
why is
we'll be the only. I'm going to be the only exhibit at the Smithsonian next to the dodo bird, a middle-aged white guy who's a liberal.
And you'll try to date the dodo bird.
No, I've tried that already. In fact, that was my last date. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But listen, I'll tell you, one of the things is when you try to go
Is there
from
a point here somewhere? The final?
you know, that's really none of your business.
All right, so go ahead. So
my
Brock
point
changed
was,
from
my
a-
point
from a
was
conservative to a
that
liberal.
liberals tend not. I mean, conservatives will take liberals coming over. Liberals are very suspect about conservatives coming over, and I
they
think
look-
there's some.
So you have to try
resistance.
harder.
Well, you have to try harder. I mean, you know, we just don't. We have a little bit difficult
You have
time.
trust-
with
No, you know,
conservatives.
look at
You have
Ariana
trust
Huffington.
issues.
Ariana Huffington was a hardcore right winger, and then all of a sudden, she literally reinvigorated the progressive movement, and it was purely calculated.
You know,
And they
something-
don't trust her either because
Yeah.
they just think she's a
They
capitalist.
don't
after
have to
she
trust
sold
her
out to
because
AOL.
they don't have to trust her. She has to trust her bank account, which
Yeah.
is
But
very,
going back to
very
the
thin.
previous segment, would you call George Soros Media Matters sugar daddy?
No,
Does that
I
fit
would
the
not.
definition?
I would not call
And
him
he
that.
is,
That
though.
is exactly who he is,
I
David.
I knew Andrew didn't mean that in a pejorative way, and I give her a pass. I've worked with her for a lot of time. Okay, coming up on the.